If you're of a certain age, you will be well aware of a home exercise contraption called the Bullworker. How did it work and how did it become so famous?
Behind the sturdy North American Adirondack chair lurks a history of design theft and sickly disease. We'll tell you these stories.
When your gaydar needs a backup, there's always the Hanky code, the secret signalling system used by gay men. The code has an interesting origin.
The mother of all fictional bands will likely always be the Monkees, but there are others.
Hello and welcome to REMORANDOM, a celebration of everything interesting and a podcast. I'm Remo Giuffre.
And I'm Claudia Chanshaw. Howdy.
Howdy, Claudia. Welcome to 2026, the year of the
Yay,
Bondi
thanks for having
postcode.
me.
Back in the saddle, got back from our driving trip yesterday. I'll tell you all about that in a minute. Did you hang out in Sydney or what did you do?
I did hang out in Sydney. We were invited to a very fancy schmancy party in a very fancy schmancy hotel with a great view. And we thought, no, this year we're just going to lay low. So we watched Rob Reiner movies. We watched The Princess Bride and When Harry Met Sally and A Few Good Men. And it was a good night in.
Yeah, and nice. I haven't seen The Princess Bride for a long time, but it's very, very funny.
Oh, so cute. Really cute. And everybody's so young.
Well, I was in a driving trip with Melanie and our son Roman for part of it. We drove to South Australia spent Christmas there with Melanie's family and mum. Then Roman flew home to WA and we kept driving down to Tasmania with the dog.
Okay.
So that was a little bit traumatic, locking her up into a cage onto the deck of a ferry, overnight ferry. I know. It was like the look on her face, as Melanie said, it was like as we walked away from her in this little cage on a deck exposed to the elements. You know, it's not like inside on the boat or anything. That look on her face was, also, I really am a dog. I'm not a human. And this is the first night. I know. Anyway, she coped. We drugged her up a little bit. Did a bit of research. But Tassie was good. A combination of kind of camping and dog-friendly motels and staying with friends, different friends. You know, the cool thing is the island is, compared to the North Island, Australia, so small, you kind of...
The mainland.
A couple of hours and you're across the other side of it, you know, so it's easy to get around. But
it's very beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, and a bit cooler than here. Spent some time with Reg Lynch, who's a cartoonist, a well-known cartoonist from the Herald and the Bulletin, and you know, used to do all the little graphics on the Stay in Touch page on the back of the paper. Anyway, he lives...
That's right. He sorry to interrupt. He always just used to sign Reg, didn't he?
Just Reg, yeah. So that was fun. He has got thousands upon thousands of drawings, and he's totally analog guy, nothing digital. So I spent a bunch of time just sorting through box after box because he wants me to help him kind of document it somehow. So, but there's a lot of goodwill out there for him, and I reached out to a couple of people. I won't mention their names, but they're very significant players in the sort of design and publishing, and they said, yes, sign me up for Team Reg. So we're going to help him get that happening. Also, Barbara Heath and Malcolm Enright live in the Midlands. Spent a night with them. She's a jeweler that made Melanie's wedding rings and engagement rings. And then finally the Sandman, Steve Abbott.
Oh gosh, he's down there.
On Bruny Island, in a very, you know, with chooks running around the backyard and a border collie and a freaking rooster that... What time do you think roosters start crowing? What's your guess?
4 a.m.?
3:30 a.m. So I thought it was I thought it was with the sunrise. That's what every Bugs Bunny cartoon told me anyway, but it's bullshit. Anyway, it was 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, we got caught up in the bushfires on the way back. Not in the fires, but we got stranded in Melbourne. We couldn't drive north. The highways were closed. There's these dreadful, for those of you who don't live in Australia, there are these dreadful bushfires in Victoria. And so we had to cool our heels in a place that would be happy to have a dog. So we spent a couple of nights at a youth hostel in St Kilda. So Roma Youth Hostel, you treated us well. We enjoyed our time with all of the 20-somethings from around the world.
So how did you get out if the road was closed off? Did they reopen the road?
Eventually, they reopened. We just had to check, every so often the Vic Emergency website or the Vic Roads website. I got so many apps on my phone now to do with Victorian fires.
Dreadful.
Did a bit of spruiking, not a lot. I didn't do a whole lot of thinking about work, which was great and surprising. It's nice to sort of have a punctuation mark to separate the 2 years. But I had these, not just my little bookmark that I slip into everyone's bag, but I've got these like new stickers. So whenever we had a coffee in a cafe in Hobart, I would surreptitiously stick one on the wall somewhere.
The gorilla sticker man. Ooh,
the evil gorilla sticker guy. Put on a few kilos. Went to the pool this morning, did my laps, but I reckon it'll take me 2 or 3 months to shed what I've accumulated.
Christmas tummy.
Which is like an incredibly elegant segue to the first thing I want to talk to you about, and that is the Bullworker.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what a Bullworker is?
Of course I do. She said, pulling and expanding her chest.
Well, that looks a little bit like a chest expander, but yes, a Bullworker does work that way too. It's got those. So it's this exercise thing where you compress from the outside on this like hydraulic 2-part tube, but it's also got the bow and arrow kind of strings on the side, so you can kind of stretch. And it was just pretty much took pride of place in many adolescent and pre-adolescent bedrooms of the 60s and 70s, including mine. And if you're of a certain age, you would remember the Bullworker as the spruiked answer to all of the 7-stone weakling prayers. And
on the back of the comic.
And advertised on the back of the comic. So yes, it was crazy popular in the 60s and 70s, and then in the 80s, like with the whole kind of gym phenomenon, it fell away a little bit. But you can still buy them online. Various licensees have continued to make more super duper looking Bullworkers. But so how did it begin? It began because in the 50s there was this German scientist. His name was Erich Albert Müller and Theodor Hettinger. They were observing muscle growth, and they kind of figured out that by exerting 60% of your existing muscle strength against resistance for only 7 seconds, one time a day, kind of made quite a big difference to your muscle density and strength. So this professor called James Bailey put isometrics, which is what it's called, to the test with a bunch of students at the University of Connecticut, and the results were encouraging enough. So off and running was the Bullworker as a sort of a marketable product. Originally, it wasn't called the Bullworker. It had a sort of a less catchy name, the Tensolator. Yes. So your first idea is not always your best idea. It was patented by a German, Gert Körbel in 1962. And, there were others around the world that kind of looked suspiciously similar. But Kerbal is the guy that we sort of officially credit.
Thanks, Kurt.
Yes, lots of exercise routines. So it was part of the culture. As you pointed out, lots of comic books and magazines had somewhat politically incorrect ads about, with quotes like, girls are attracted to men who look fit, or now you can laugh at skinny weaklings. Now, I was one of those skinny weaklings, so I take offense to that slur. But I was trying because I had a Bullworker. There are in the chapter of REMORANDOM where this is featured, there is a photo of Bruce Lee, martial artist Bruce Lee, and in his office you can see a Bullworker propped up in the corner.
Wow, Muhammad what an endorsement.
Well, wait on, it gets better. Two more. Cassius Clay, who became Muhammad Ali. He was a big, Bullworker fan and champion. And finally, Sean Connery used one to clobber the baddie in a 1983 Bond film, Never Say Never Again.
Never Say Never Again, one of the worst.
And I watched that clip about 50 times to try to get just the right screenshot for the book. So there you have it.
And so just wind back the clock a bit. How did the Bullworker work for you as that slim young man? Did it work?
Can we just move on to the next topic? Oh, yeah. I don't know if I want to answer that.
Why is it called a Bullworker? Is it a Bullworker because you're going to look like a bull when you finish?
Yeah, you'll be strong as a bull, I think.
Strong as a bull. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Yeah. Well, my finely tuned, muscled friend.
Yes.
Are you sitting comfortably?
Yes.
Good, because I want to tell you about it. I want to tell you about a chair. So there's a sturdy reclining chair with a slanted back, and it's got wide armrests, and it's called the Adirondack chair, and it's an American classic. So you might have heard of it.
I have certainly heard of it.
You've heard of it, the Adirondack chair. And it's got a very curious history, and it involves a bit of design theft and disease. So the story begins with a Harvard-educated fellow called Thomas Lee, and he's born into this wealthy Massachusetts family, and he drops out of law school, much to the family's chagrin. And he quits the city for a life of leisure on his family property in Westport, which is a town located in the beautiful Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York. So in the year 1900, he decides to make the most of his spare time, and he sets about designing a chair that he can relax and enjoy the mountain views, but it needs to be very sturdy because it's rocky up there. So he creates a very sturdy chair. 3 years it takes him, and he succeeds in crafting what his family and friends say to him is the perfect chair. So it's got a high back made of solid plank of wood, and it's got a slanted seat, and it's got very wide armrests so you can sit there comfortably, and it's robust enough to withstand that rugged environment. So that winter, Lee's chatting away with his hunting buddy, who's a local Westport carpenter by the name of Harry Bunnell. And Harry confides to Lee, listen, I'm struggling financially. So Lee, being a good bloke, helps him out and says, look, I'm going to offer you the chair design and you can make it and sell it because you're a carpenter. So the chair's a big hit. And it's so in demand that in 1904, behind his mate Lee's back, Bunnell patents the chair in his name and calls it the Westport chair. Not very nice, but according to Lee's great-great-nephew, Lee didn't really care that much because he was loaded. So Bunnell's design uses several planks of wood for the backrest, and it's got a drop-down footrest, and it's even got room for a bedpan. So you don't even have to get up. You can stay in your chair the whole day. Now, leading up to this time, interestingly, the United States is going through a tuberculosis epidemic. And there's a New York City office worker who's named Mark Cook, and he reckons that he cured his tuberculosis after an extended stay in upstate New York. And he called a book that he wrote The Wilderness Cure. So this causes scores of people to migrate to the Adirondack Mountains with the hope of healing their lungs with that dry mountain air. Sanatoriums popped up and they're going to take advantage of the wilderness cure, and they deck out their locations with these reclining chairs that are not unlike the Westport chair. So it's sort of this symbol of the health spa. So variations of the chair spread like wildfire across the country, and it becomes more widely known as the Adirondack chair as a nod to the birthplace. Fast forward to 1938, and Irving Walpin from New Jersey seeks a patent for his version of the chair that's got a bit more of a fan back, and that becomes the Adirondack chair that we know today. Now, these days you can pick them up in Sydney or around Australia at Bunnings and even Big W. So it is within our reach. But if you want one of the originals, it'll set you back over $10,000 US.
I love the Adirondack chair. It's great. It doesn't it's wrong probably to say it reclines. It's kind of fixed in a reclined position.
It's slanted.
But it's got those kind of wide armrests, so you can put your drink or your book on there. We had two made for our River Shack. There was some guy we found online in Queensland that was making them in his garage, and really heavy wood. They don't move easily, but they're very, very comfortable. Very much I'm on a cruise ship kind of feel.
But, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah. We have absolutely no room in our apartment for two big Adirondack chairs, so we had to say goodbye to them recently. I'm kind of sad about that.
Off they
I'll
go.
never ever.
You have a history of getting rid of chairs that you like a lot.
I know, but I can guarantee you this 76 square meter apartment in North Bondi will never have a big backyard for an Adirondack chair. So thank you for that. And beautifully pronounced, by the way, Adirondack chair. So
Adirondack.
Yeah. It's like you were born to say that word. Okay. Next up, the Hanky code. So speaking of the river, there were our friends and neighbours on the river, on the Hawkesbury, were the Davids, David Watson and David Williams. And when I was working on the REMORANDOM project and told the Davids that I was open to suggestions, David Williams put his hand up. We didn't really put his hand up. He says, I know. You should write about the Hanky code. And I said, what's the Hanky code? He said, the Hanky code. So it's a gay man thing, right? It's a system of color-coded hankies and bandanas that communicate not just whether you are an innie or an outie or but what kind of sexual activity or fetish it is that you're into. But so the color, there's a color code. We'll get to that. And the signal used to be keys, right? So a gay man would have his keys and put them in his back pocket, and whether or not he put them in his left pocket or right pocket indicated whether or not he was, an on top person or on the bottom person. So left was top, by the way. But so this was an enhanced version of that, which actually enabled a whole lot more granularity in terms of the kind of activity envisioned. And but it was. I'm not sure how prevalent it is now. Maybe some of our readers can go to remorandom.com where there is a post about this and make a comment and let us know if it's alive and well. around the world. But it was a bigger deal in the 70s in the US, Canada, and Australia, and also Europe. So, but the origin of it is sort of interesting because it was born of the gold rush days in San Francisco, because there were men digging gold out of the ground and very few women around. The men, they would drink and do dancing in bars, and to indicate, and these are not necessarily gay men, by the way, these are just like blokes dancing with each other. So how do they signal who's the male and who's the female in the dancing? And so the men would wear blue bandanas, and the quote unquote women, would wear red bandanas. And so that was the kind of origin of the sort of coloured bandana as an indicia of sexual preference was born. So then in around 1970, a journalist for the Village Voice, he was the guy that said, forget the keys, what we need are bandanas to indicate whether, on the left or right side, and that would be more efficient because it indicated the sexual focus. Other sources attribute the expansion to that red-blue system to the marketing efforts of the Trading Post, which was a San Francisco department store for erotic merchandise. And then finally, Alan Selby, the founder of Mr. S Leather in San Francisco, claimed that he created the first hanky code with his business partner at Leather and Things in 1972, when their bandana supplier inadvertently doubled their order and they had all these coloured bandanas. So they had to kind of create this like system so that they could move that dead stock. So look, I'm not going to go through all of the colours, but dark blue is anal sex, light blue is oral sex, orange is anything goes. Purple is piercing, yellow is urine play. So you have to buy the book to get the full list. Some of them don't bear repeating here on the public airwaves. Information is power, though, so please use it wisely, as they say.
And which REMORANDOM book is this story featured?
It's in the very first one. I could barely contain my excitement to put it in a book. So it's chapter 34 of REMORANDOM 1. Yeah, so that's a bit of knowledge you didn't think you knew, but now you know. Now, what do you want to tell us about, Claudia?
I want to tell you about something that is so important. You get the little earworms in your head, the songs like "I Think I Love You" or anything like that, and you think, where does all this stuff come from? Oh, wasn't that by a fictional band? Right. And fictional bands like the ones invented for TV programs or films, and they end up becoming real bands. They're sort of manufactured and then they become real, and then they release records and they do their great videos and they tour and they make hits. Probably the mother of all of these fictional bands has to be the Monkees, and they were manufactured for the NBC TV show called The Monkees.
Yeah.
And the Monkees, and the band featured the very cute, diminutive Davy Jones, who was a bit of a heartthrob. Guitarist was Mike Nesmith. The bass player was Peter Tork, and the drummer was Mickey Dolenz.
Who is your favorite?
I like Mickey.
Yeah.
He was a child actor. He was in, what, Elephant Boy or Bomber the Jungle Boy or something
Circus
or other.
Circus Boy.
That's it. So I like Mickey. And then they had these great hits, The Last Train to Clarksville and I'm a Believer. And those songs were pretty much performed in the studio by session musicians. But the group's enormously popular, and they eventually managed to take more creative control. And, we can do this ourselves. And despite initial skepticism about their authenticity, the Monkees did establish themselves as a very genuine and influential band. And they generated over 75 million album sales and 21 hits. Not bad. So, like the Monkees, then we've got the Partridge Family. Also a combination of a fictional TV show and a real life musical act. And the TV show, which you would remember, Remo, is 1970 to 1974. And it's inspired by a group called the Cowsills, who are an American singing group of 6 siblings from Newport, Rhode Island. The Partridge Family are so convincing as a band, they picked up Best New Artist at the Grammys at the time. So during their ABC sitcom's 4-year run, they racked up 9 hits, including I Think I Love You. And we've got the on-screen dynamic of Mum, Shirley Jones, and the teeny bopper heartthrob, David Cassidy. But they're the only members to appear on the record. They can sing. And while you might remember the redhead, the annoying younger brother, played by Danny Bonaduce, he was actually replaced on the record by members of the Wrecking Crew, who are these really cool session musicians who played everything from Simon and Garfunkel to the Beach Boys. They were always in the background. Other great fictional bands, what about Spinal Tap? That's got to be the best. This is the parody heavy rock band featured in the mockumentary This Is Spinal Tap from 1984. And despite being fictional, became a huge hit. The Blues Brothers, originally created for a sketch on Saturday Night Live, Jake and Elwood Blues, played by John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, they became a real musical act. And then the Archies. Remember the cartoon The Archies?
Yep. Yeah.
So they had the great bubblegum hits, 1968 to 1970, including Sugar Sugar, which was #1 worldwide. So they started off live in a comic book, and then they had the Morning Archie show, which was a cartoonie. So do you remember watching Shrek? You saw the first Shrek, and at the end of the film, they're starting to get ready for the credits, and the Monkees' I'm a Believer is played. And it's got to be the perfect song for that film, because the first line, I thought love was only true in fairy tales, blah, blah, blah. Then I saw her face, and it's green ogre, Princess Fiona. But I think my favorite manufactured band has to be Spinal Tap, and that takes me full circle to celebrating Rob Reiner.
Yes. Well, there's Spinal Tap sequel out now. Rob made that film, so all the more reason to go and see it to celebrate his incredible legacy.
Absolutely.
Speaking of legacy, I better continue writing mine and get those last 3 chapters done. Next time we talk, I'll tell you about my new big idea, by the way.
Great. Can't wait. I'm so excited.
Mum's the word. REMORANDOM.com. Get your orders in. I returned to Bondi yesterday to a whole slew of them, and my arm still hurts from all of the full packs of books that I schlepped to the post office this morning before this recording session. And that's it.
Where can people get that book, REMORANDOM? Remo?
REMORANDOM.com. Click on the books tab. It'll take you to REMOSince1988.com/books.
Excellent.
Too much to remember.
These books are full of tidbits of wonderful information, and a lot of that information has been contributed by you. So if you've got a great idea, do get in touch. hello@remorandom.com.
Thanks. And once again, Claudia, Happy New Year. Look forward to lots and lots of crazy, fun conversations with you this year.
Cannot wait, Remo. Cannot wait. It's off to a great start. See ya.
Bye-bye.